Welcome to Mobility Monday with Movement RX. I'm Dr. Teresa Larson, and this is my friend, my really good friend, Kate Hendricks. We are again on location in Nassau, Costa Rica. I'm not going to show you around right now because it's a little dark outside. We just had a kick-ass yoga class led by Kate Hendricks. It almost led me to tears. It was awesome. Had to play around a little bit. I wanted to introduce this woman because she has some really awesome information about stress management. She is a professor at University of Alabama. She's a certified yoga instructor, also an author, and a speaker. So, Kate, I wanted to ask you about stress and a sense of performance. Because when I work with athletes, both in the rehab setting and strength and conditioning, we stress them out with load, time, decreasing the time, increasing the depth of their movements, and those sorts of things. How would you describe the good stresses and bad stresses these athletes undergo?
Well, I think that's a really fantastic question. When you're talking about performance, you're talking about eustress. You're talking about good stress. You're talking about your adaptive animal body doing exactly what it's meant to do to perform under some kind of load or some kind of pressure. The problem with stress, and the reason that we hear about it all the time and that becomes a health problem for people, is that too much of our stress becomes distress, which means it's chronic, it's too long in duration, or it's simply too severe. It's something that your little animal body is not meant to handle. So stress can be a good thing, and we want to cultivate opportunities to get better against such eustress. But stress, for most of us, we don't manage enough to keep it at that short duration.
That's interesting because the distress I see quite often, comes in the form of overuse, tendinopathies, strains in the tissues, sprains, chronic inefficiencies in motor control and movement. So what would you say in terms of sleep? How does that play into the ability for someone to handle their stress?
Well, the fascinating thing about the stress response is that it does the same thing whether your stress is good or bad. So your brain receives the stressor, hormones fire through your body, and cortisol and adrenaline are released. Adrenaline, as you can imagine, doesn't allow you to sleep. So for people who are trying to train and perform, and athletes, and they're not managing their stress, they're going to have this excess adrenaline interfering with their sleep. On the other side of the coin, you've got cortisol, which is doing its job of shutting down non-essential systems like your GI system. Your ability to process food is impaired by a lot of cortisol, because when you're running away from a lion, you don't really need to be digesting your meal right now. So you can be stressed out and eat a bowl of spinach and get less iron than if you eat that bowl of spinach in a calm state of mind. And we've got the studies to back that up.
That's awesome. So in a sense, like people going from the gym to work to home with their kids, that could create to chronic distress, right? So what are some things that athletes, parents, people that work can do to help manage that?
I would definitely say the first thing you can do is educate yourself. Understand that this overstimulated state that we all seem to exist in these days is not natural, it's not adaptive. We are not meant to be reachable 24/7. We are not meant to have televisions blaring and cell phones going off and sleep patterns interrupted. So understand that that's not natural. And understand the seriousness of excess cortisol and adrenaline coursing through your bloodstream. The short-term health problems and performance problems that it can cause for athletes, and then the long-term legitimate illness and disease ramifications for anybody. So understanding that is the key to knowing that stress management, self-care, are not nice to haves. They're incredibly important, mandatory items to incorporate in your day. The good news, Teresa, is that it doesn't take a long time. 3 minutes of breath work in the morning and 3 minutes of breath work in the evening has been empirically proven to lower blood cortisol levels. So giving yourself 6 minutes in the course of your busy day to slow down, unplug, and breathe can do wonders for your blood cortisol and for your entire physiology.
That's awesome. That's a great takeaway for you guys. I will spend another video explaining breath work and how to do it appropriately especially with my colleagues here in Nassau, Costa Rica. What better place to teach you? But definitely go and educate yourself, learn what Kate just talked about, help yourself out. And one term I really like that Kate's used, that I like that you used in terms of stress management was resilience. Like, she's teaching, what she teaches in Alabama is resilience. What she's teaching here in Costa Rica is how to help people be resilient in their lives. And it's, I think, a more positive term than thinking of stress management.
Right.
So.
We can't all move to Costa Rica and take every single stressor out of our lives. What we can cultivate is a resilient attitude and a resilient body and a resilient mentality. And those traits, that ability to get back up when something knocks you down, those are teachable, trainable traits. And that's what's exciting about the entire field of resilience theory. If I can learn that, I can bring the best version of Kate Hendricks to any encounter and any interpersonal relationship that I have.
Awesome, Kate. And where can we find your stuff?
Well, if you're interested in some of the research I've published, the best place to look is katehendricks.com.
Thank you very much. It's been awesome hanging with you, and we'll see you next Monday.